What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Perfect Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Ray Molina, and this is episode 102. He wants you. Before I jump off into this topic, like always, make sure to log on to my website. Please bookmark it. Check it out, raymolina.com. Lots of stuff going on over there. You can listen to every episode of the podcast there. You can also read my blogs, check out any books that I've been reading. You can purchase merchandise. There's lots of new t-shirts and gear there. Got a pretty cool new mug over there for Beast or Famine. Got some really cool t-shirts. If you're into the military, you'll like some of the t-shirts I have. Lots of stuff going on over there. Make sure to check it out, raymolina.com. Also, go to YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get updates on videos like this and other ones. It is youtube.com/theperfectmesspod. And if you can't find it that way, just search The Perfect Mess Podcast with Ray Molina and you'll find it. And please hit subscribe. I'm definitely trying to grow that channel, and I'd appreciate you helping me out. All right. My social media is at It's Ray Molina. That is my TikTok and my Instagram. Please follow me there. And the podcast is on Instagram as well. It's at The Perfect Mess Pod. All right. I don't do any ads or anything on the podcast. If I've shared anything, it's usually from a friend of mine that has something going on business-wise. But I don't get any paid ads for my podcast. So the way I grow this thing is by you guys sharing it. If you like the content, please share it. That's how I grow this thing. All right. And by the way, I want to thank all of you. The numbers that I've been seeing have been far and beyond what I thought they could be over the last, 3 or 4 months. And I'm just really happy about that. So thank you so much. So aside from that, he wants you. It's story time. There's I can remember, when I was growing up, the second time my mom and dad had gotten married, they were kids, young. So young love. They probably shouldn't have been together, but they did it again. They got married and then they divorced, and that was rocky. And then they got remarried, and this is the second time. So, I'm trying to get to know this man. I'm at an age where I just really need my father. I had just become a teenager. I think I was my son's age. Wow. I think I was my son's age. Man, that was a gut punch right there, just realizing how old I was. My son is 13 right now. He's about to be 14. And this was probably about the exact age I was when this story happened. My dad did not know how to talk to me. He didn't know how to connect with me. And we had some sort of disagreement. My dad had a very, very bad temper. And he was really physical with me. And we got into it. And I hated him for that. Without going into too much detail, we got into it pretty bad. Roughed me up a little bit. And I was staying away from him for a while. I was not talking to him. Obviously, I live in the same house. I'm a little kid. So if I'm being told to do something, I got to do it. But I wasn't very talkative after that situation. I was quiet. And I would stay in my room. And I remember, him coming in my room one time after this and saying, "Hey, I want to take you, my friend has a store, and I want to take you over there and go get you some stuff." And I looked at him, I was like, what do you mean? What kind of store? He's like, it's a store. They have like hats and shirts and stuff and whatever. I'm like, all right. So I get in the car with him. We drive out to Milpitas. And Milpitas is a city that's close to where I live. And we go there, and his friend, I don't know if the guy's giving him a deal or if he's hooking him up, whatever it is. Anyways, this guy has, hats, and my dad tells me, hey, go ahead and, pick whatever you want, and then we'll get it. So he grabs a few hats. I think there's a couple of t-shirts, whatever it is. Hats, t-shirts, and a few other things. He pays the guy, and we leave. And I'm thinking, what is all this? So I get all this, I come home, and he lays it on my bed out of the bag. He's like, it's like pretty cool, huh? Got a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, right on. And that was it. And that was supposed to be the apology. That was supposed to be the connection. I'm sorry. Let's reconnect. Let's redo this again. Let's give it a shot again. Now, mind you, you guys have to, if you're new to my life and my podcast, he wasn't always a part of my life. My family was broken after I was like 5 years old. My mom and my dad divorced when I was a little boy, and then it was rocky after that. And then I didn't see him but a few times. He was in and out of jail. So this is us. This story is us reconnecting, my mom and him rekindling. And me getting to know my dad as a new teenager. So I want you to take that into consideration with this story. So I'm sitting here trying to understand why we just went to this store to get, this stuff. And, I start to realize this is how he's saying he's sorry to me. This is how he's trying to connect with me. Whatever, right? But as this next couple of years goes by and I start to get older, they're not married very long. At that time I was pushing 14, and I think they were divorced by the time I was 20. But anyways, that goes by, and then I'm now 16, and now I've got my, passed the driver's test, got my license, done all that. And what you have to understand is my dad comes from the car business, where he paints cars, does body work, and does all that stuff. So we always had cars, always. Nice cars, classic cars, whatever it is. So here we're now in my time where I'm 16 and I can drive now. So what does he do? He gives me a car. He gifts me a car. Great. I'm not a spoiled kid. I'm not somebody who came up with a lot of stuff. To a lot of kids who didn't know me in high school, it kind of looked like I was, but I wasn't. What they saw was the only thing my dad was able to give me, and that was material stuff. So high school kids look at that and they're thinking, oh, this guy comes from money, this guy. I didn't. But it looked like that. And I can understand, I don't blame anybody who who grew up with me and played ball with me or knew me in high school or whatever, that knew, like, oh, Ray was always the one with the car. I was always the one with the car. But what they don't understand is that is the only way my dad knew how to connect with me. Outside of having a car, I didn't have shit. Anyway, so he gives me a car. And mind you, I just want a car. I don't want anything crazy. But that's not in his nature. So he takes this like 1970 something or early 80s BMW. I know it says BMW, but it's an older version of BMW, very old. But he has a gift with his hands to paint, to do body work, like I told you, and brings this thing back to life, kind of like what I do with my furniture. And that's, by the way, that's where I get this from. Anyways, he brings this car back to life, puts rims on it, everything. I mean, the car is super flashy. In my opinion, way too flashy for a kid, you know, having for his first car and going to high school. But that's what he wants me to drive. My mom even was like, it's nice. It might be too nice for him to be driving to school, but whatever. So, not complaining. But what I'm trying to get to is this. Anytime we had a disagreement or he didn't like something about me or he felt a certain way about me or whatever, his punishment, and I understand, listen, you guys know I'm a very stern, strong father. I understand about discipline. I understand about punishment, okay? But you don't yo-yo your kids. You don't keep doing stuff and making them feel like, oh, every time I do something wrong, da 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 da. And listen, I know my kid, Jaden, he has issues with the PlayStation. That's more of an addiction thing that I pull from him. But you don't do stuff like that. Anyways, anytime something little would happen, whatever, the first thing he would do is take the car keys, this and that. And finally, I'm like, I don't even know, like, the minute we have a disagreement, we won't even argue, but a disagreement or whatever it is, boom, car's gone, you know. And he would use it against me. And I got to a point where it's like, you know, I don't even want the car. I didn't ask for a car like this. I didn't ask for it to have rims on it. I asked for something very simple that I could drive to school, nothing crazy, and you went and fixed it up. You know, I mean, this is how bad it was. If I would curb the tires, or if I didn't wash it, or listen, this is the funny part. If I didn't bring the car to his shop and have the people that work for him clean this car once a week, he would threaten to take the car from me. If I took my car to a car wash, he would threaten to take the car from me. Why? Because if I took that car to a car wash, the bristles on the brushes would leave streaks, and he didn't like that. So he said, I told you to stop doing that. If you don't listen to me, I'm gonna take the car back from you. And I'm like, I got the car wash. This car doesn't belong in the car wash. It belongs at my shop so the guys can clean it, bring it every once a week. And this is what I'm talking about. So this was not my car. This was his car. It was a show car. What this car was a business card for him. I drive it. People ask who did this car, who put the rims on it, who painted it, who brought it back to life, and then I say my dad, and then they bring him business. That's what it was. This happened numerous times with multiple things. So what I'm telling you is this. You go from when I'm about to be 14, the disagreement, the argument, the physical, you know, aspect of what happened between me and him not connecting with me and just taking me to a store and buying me something. Get older, same thing, disagreement, physical aspect. Gets me this car, this show car that a high school kid has no business even driving. I'm not complaining. It was a nice car. I loved driving it, okay? I was a high school kid. Yes, I liked it. But what I didn't like was everything that came with it. I was willing to give it up because I realized this is just you using these material things over my head, and I'd rather just go catch a ride with one of my other friends who has a car, you know? So this is what I want to talk to you about. If you're a father and you're listening, me and this man had such a hard time connecting with each other because he didn't know how to talk. He never took the time to try and talk. He never took the time out of his day to sit down and try to understand his son. For all the years that we'd spent away from each other, the years that he spent behind bars, the years that he spent running around doing everything he wanted to do with his life and not taking advantage of having a son and spending time with me to teach me, to talk with me, to show me things, to do all these things with me. He never learned that what I really needed was him. I didn't need your hats, your t-shirts, your jackets, your pants, your shoes. I didn't need your car with the nice rims, with the paint job, with the Alpine stereo system and all these things. I didn't need all of that. Because, yeah, okay, let's say, I got the coolest hat, the nice shirt, go to school. Maybe a lot of the kids compliment me on that. Like, oh, that's a sick hat. Oh, where'd you get that t-shirt? I pull up in the, it's funny because I'm literally doing a ruck right now as I'm talking. And I'm literally across the street from my high school, right here. This is where this all happened. And, you pull up into the parking lot and your friends are like, oh, this car's sick. But they don't know all the stuff that comes with it. They don't understand the stuff that I'm dealing with because I have this damn car, And yeah, let's be honest. Maybe there were a few girls that liked that I had not just a regular car, but I had a nicer car. Some kind of status thing in high school. You know how that goes. But again, none of these people knew what I actually was going through to have this stupid material shit. So I titled this podcast, He Needs You, because I want you to understand, if you're a father, your son doesn't need all that stuff. What he needs is the lessons, the love, the encouragement, everything that you're going to give him. He needs all of that because that stuff's going to go so much farther than than the material stuff. He's going to grow out of that hat. He's going to grow out of that t-shirt. He's going to grow out of all that stuff. And guess what? That car's going to break down one day. Or he's not going to want that car no more. He's going to want to upgrade it. And all of those things can be replaced. Or that car is going to get into a car accident. And it's going to be totaled. But what's never going to go away is the lessons, is the love, is the time, is the talks, is the intimate moments that you had with him. Guys, I'm sharing this with you because I always talk about having sons, and when I speak, you guys hear me say, he needs you, or your son needs you. That's all I know. I don't have a daughter, so I don't know how to speak from having a daughter. I can speak from having two sons because that's what I have. And my sons, I don't do all the fancy stuff. I don't buy them, the latest shoes. And I mean, they have nice shoes, But we don't go and try to get them into the next version of the Jordans and the next version of the Jordans and the ones after that. We don't do any of that. But they get nice stuff. The clothes, same thing. Don't do anything crazy, okay? My son, he's 2 years away from, driving. I'm not gonna go put him in some crazy expensive car and whatever and do all that. Nah, he's probably gonna get a Honda, a Toyota, probably gonna get one of those things. And that's gonna have to do. Excuse me. It's raining now that I'm walking, and rain's getting on the camera. But I'm gonna get him something like that. Me and his mom are gonna get him something that's a good, a gas saver, that we're not gonna worry if he curbs the tires or anything. We're not gonna worry if him and his boys are lugging their baseball gear around and the car's dirty. Not worried about that. He's a kid, okay? He's not in a car show. He needs a car to get him to school and back. What I want you to understand is, at 48 years old, as I get older and older, I realize how much more I needed from my father. I needed his love. I needed his talking. And more important, I just needed him there. I needed his time. And I never got his time. He never sat down with me, never said, let's go for a walk. Never said, how's school going? Let's talk. How's things with girls? How's that going? You have any questions about that? Hey, how you dealing with puberty, man? Are you okay? You have any questions? Is anybody picking on you? I never had any of those talks. And I needed that. I needed his time to go through all these things with me. And he was fully capable of doing that and giving me these lessons. Why? Man, my dad was involved in a lot of shit, man. My dad was one of the guys who was the first guys who started the cruising scene out in San Jose. He was one of the first guys to get into the hydraulic scene, that put hydraulics on cars. Like historic shit in the 70s. Him and a few guys, they were the first to do a lot of this stuff in San Jose. He was in a band, a few bands. He used to sing. He was a dancer. He would go to clubs and him and his sister, they would win disco dancing contests and whatnot. Clear the floor, from what I understand. He had his own body shop. People knew him. He used to do trucks for the, vans for the radio stations out here. He was in the military. He was a Marine Corps vet. All of these things. My dad was shot, almost died. My dad went through so much shit in his life. And as I'm telling you this, I don't want anybody to ever think, well, Ray, do you ever think that maybe your dad went through some stuff that he just doesn't know how to connect? I agree with you. He did go through some stuff. We all do. Which is why I'm sharing that. My dad went through a lot of stuff. He did a lot of stuff in his life. There was so much stuff that he experienced that he could have sat down with me and talked with me and shared with me and gave me so much knowledge that I really needed for my life. And more importantly than that, he could have loved me. Now, I share all that stuff with you, and I also tell you that I understand that he went through a lot of stuff because, yeah, you guys, if you're on my podcast, you know the stuff I've been through. I've been through it too. So when I tell you, I have every excuse to be a terrible father because I had a terrible example and the stuff that I went through growing up. My grandpa used to always tell me, I'm amazed that you didn't end up in jail. I'm amazed you didn't end up in prison because of the stuff that you had to overcome to make it. I'm proud of you. And what I always say is this: you aren't your past. If you stay in your past, that's because you choose to stay in your past. But at some point, you become an adult, you become a man, and you realize, hey, these things are wrong, and it's up to me to fix them. I have to change them. So when I tell you, yes, I understand that my father went through a lot of stuff and struggled, and maybe didn't have the lessons, maybe didn't understand how to handle being a father. I get that. But at some point, you know what is right and wrong. And you make a conscious decision to say, no, I'm still going to go party. I'm still going to go hang with these guys. I'm still going to do all these things first because it's my life and that's what I want to do. That's a conscious decision when you become an adult. I will not make an excuse for an adult. I won't do it. I don't make excuses for me, and I won't do it for someone else. I won't do it. I refuse to. And if you spend your life making excuses for other adults because of how they're being right now at this current moment in time, then you, my friend, are what they consider an enabler. I don't care if it's your family, your friends, whatever it is. If you continue to make excuses for people who are grown adults, who can't seem to understand and can't seem to connect the dots, then you are an enabler. I will not make excuses for adults. Because if I was going to make excuses for somebody, I would start with myself. And I'm not doing that. Because I know I'm better than that. And you should expect better than that from the people around you in your circle. So yeah, I understand going through stuff. But listen, dads, please listen to what I'm telling you. Your son or your sons, if you have multiple, they don't need the fancy gear. They don't need all this stuff, the materialistic stuff. What they need is you. They need everything that you got in you. Dig deep. If you've never sat and talked with your own father, think of the stuff that right now at your age, think of where you are and think of, God, I wish I had this growing up. And do that. Do that. Do exactly what you wished you had when you were a kid. Do what you thought you wished your father would do with you when you were a child. Talk with you. Spend time with you. Go for a walk with you. Have father-son moments where you connected, where he got you to open up. Maybe stuff you couldn't tell your mom. Maybe stuff you couldn't tell your brother. You told your dad. It is so important that you, if you're not doing that, and if you're doing it already, I commend you. I commend you. You're doing great. But if you're not and you're hearing this, it's important that you do that now. Just stop. Fucking turn work off for a minute. Turn your personal shit off. And go grab your son and go for a walk. I don't care how old he is. Talk to him. Ask him what's going on. Is everything okay? Are you dealing with anything? How's school? How's everything? Can I do something for you? Do you have any questions? And share. Listen to me. Listen close to this. Share stories from your childhood. Share stories of stuff that you experienced, the things that you learned. Kids love stories. My kids love stories from when I was a kid. They love to hear how I was raised, how I grew up. They love to hear stories about me and my grandfather. They love to hear stories about everything. Share stories with your children. That is such a good way to connect with your kids. It really is. It's so good. I highly recommend that. But more importantly, guys, stop everything. You know, I always, and I shared this before, there's a big reason why I don't, I'm still in really good shape. I still decently athletic, you know what I mean? But I, recently just saw an adult baseball league going on when I took my kid to his flag football game. And someone was like, "You should play, man. It's 25 and up. There's a 35-year-old shortstop out there." And I was like, "No. That's cool." I said, "That ain't going to make me no money. And in fact, it's going to take time away." Do you know why? A big reason why I don't do any of that stuff. Like, I don't join a softball league. I don't join an adult baseball league. I don't do all that because I did that already. All right? I played ball after I was out of high school in a summer league and traveled and did that. I did all that. Okay? I played softball too, well into my 30s. Spent the nights up, at the bar after the softball games. Did all that. Did the bowling, did all that. You name it. It's not my time. It's not, that's selfish. That's for me. And I don't want, it's not for me now. Now, like, that's not gonna get me anywhere. Yeah, it's gonna be like, oh, this is fun. But it's not for me. Okay, now it's for my kid. That extra time, me being out there playing second base at 48 years old, for what? Yeah, it's fun. I'll do a pickup game, but to actually join a league and play and have a season, like, for what? The most important season right now is my kids' season. This season of their life, of them becoming teenagers and balling and playing, and trying to get to high school ball, then to potentially get to college ball. That's the season that's the most important. Not my season and me going out there playing ball. I'm telling you guys this because there are certain things that you have to sacrifice in order to put your kids first and to show them, hey man, I love you, and yeah, this is my life, but now my life is different because you're in it. And I don't move selfishly no more. I move with you in mind at all times. I promise you they will love you for that. They will. Guys, when I'm dead and gone, one of the things that I shared with you guys before is I hope my kids come back to this podcast when I'm gone and just listen. I want them to just listen to what I'm talking about. Hear where I was at this moment, this very moment in my life. And to listen to how much I loved them. How much that I was willing to put all my stuff on the back burner just for them. Because I wanted them to have what I didn't have. My goal is for them to do that. When they have some downtime. Maybe I've been gone for a while, and they're just like, man, I need to hear my dad. I need to hear that one episode where he talks about when me and Jordan were 12 and 14. I need to hear that. Or I need to hear those pandemic episodes where he was talking about us training and getting through the pandemic and how we're surviving and people are staying locked up in their houses. I need to hear about that. Or I need to hear about my dad's childhood. Because I need to listen to how he handled that so I can take that and talk to my kids about my childhood with my dad, with their grandfather. Dads, he doesn't need your material stuff, okay? He just needs you. He needs your time. He needs your love. More importantly, he needs you. And if you're divorced, like me, Maybe you're in a relationship. And that's one of the most important things for you now. I get it, okay? Let me be pretty direct with you. He doesn't need you and your girlfriend or you and your new fiance, okay? There's time for that. What he needs is you. Your time, not your time split 3 different ways. He needs you and your time alone. You guys can do that time with your girlfriend or your new fiance or whatever later. There's time for that, but he needs you. I hope that this message hits home for you. I hope that if it does, or if you know somebody who needs to hear this, I hope that you share it with them. Because I started this thing because I needed to hear these things. And one of the coping mechanisms was get it out there. So I'm getting it out there. I hope you guys are okay. I hope you're healthy. I hope your families are good. And I know we're still in some crazy times, man. Turn the news off. Get back to your family. Get back to your kids. And just stay connected. And like I said, dads, he needs you. Okay? Need your time. That's all I got, man. Have a wonderful day, night, wherever you're at. You got my website links, raymolina.com. My Instagram is @itsraymolina. That's my TikTok. Please go to YouTube, youtube.com/@theperfectmesspod, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That is all I have. I love you guys, man. And it's just another ruck out here in the rain while I'm recording another podcast. That is what it is. I'm on day 11 of 75 hard. All right, and like I always say, my life isn't perfect. Oftentimes, it is a mess. But for me, it is the perfect mess. Peace.